Hey guys, I hope you've had a nice 2025. Despite the industry falling apart more and more each day and mergers that threaten to destroy the theatrical experience, we had a lot of great movies this year. This video is coming out a little late so I could try to see as many movies as possible before making this video, but there's still a few I haven't seen, so if you'd like to see the full list, you can check it out on my Letterboxd. I made a short film that I premiered in 2025, which was really exciting, that I will hopefully be able to post on here soon, so look out for that. Alright, let's get into it. The first thing that you see in this film is a house, and though it is a cliche, I think more here than most other films, this house is a character. It is such a well-defined house full of past trauma and memories that only in a strange, abstract space like the theater can Nora, our lead, start expressing what she's gone through, free of those walls. Trier is an incredible writer, finding such poetic ways to depict simple ideas. In the opening narration, we are told that as a child, Nora wrote an essay for school where she had to imagine she was an object, and she chose her house. She wrote about what the house would think if it were alive and what the house would love, and one of those was a full belly. And throughout the film, we see the house shift and transform, change its appearance from so very full to tragically empty. And then we see how the space takes on new life once it becomes the center of Gustav's film. This is a story about familial trauma through the eyes of a filmmaker who believes that wounds can be healed through filmmaking. Trier himself said at the Cannes Film Festival when accepting an award for the film that sentimentality is the new punk, and I think when watching this film I know what he means. These scars of our past don't need to last forever. Wanting to be better than we used to be are radical thoughts in many ways. It goes against what these characters have been conditioned all their lives. How those ideas unfold in this film are really wonderful to watch, with 4 fantastic performances, as we get to see each central character slowly grow closer and closer together. Maybe one of the most forgotten films of the past year, I really enjoyed Mickey 17. Pattinson in Little Freak Mode giving one of my favorite performances of the year, and Bong, a master of tones, balancing heartfelt and hilarious wonderfully. I really enjoyed learning about this world. The Expendable program creates some really interesting moral questions that I had fun chewing on. I just didn't love the third act as much as the first two, once those little aliens really got involved in the plot. But a great movie that's surprisingly sweet. I hope it gets more love as the years go on. Park Chan-wook, the master craftsman, is back with another outrageous film this time about how hard it is to find a good job these days. No one knows how to balance tones quite like Park, and what's so impressive about this film is how it manages that slapstick humor while also being a tightly wound thriller and a heartfelt family drama that really nails how our self-worth being tied to our jobs has ruined our society. I love the lead performance by Lee Byung-hun, a difficult role to pull off, but he does so effortlessly. Park always finds such creative ways to not only explore these ideas, but to shoot them. I'm not sure there's a better director at shooting phones and screens, some of the most uncinematic stuff imaginable. There's simply no one doing it like him. I admittedly have not been a fan of Aster's films for the last few years. I went into Eddington very skeptical and came out completely surprised with how much I enjoyed this film. So funny, so dark, and so on the pulse. Aster talked about how this film came out of him doom scrolling on Twitter during lockdown, and you can feel that in every second of this film. He fuses so many ideas together: COVID, police brutality, internet culture, internet conspiracy theories, the BLM movement and the white guilt that followed, and even data centers. I know earlier I said that Park Chan-wook was the best at shooting screens, but Aster is pretty good at it himself, infusing the story with a healthy dose of technophobia, really highlighting how dependent we've become with our phones for not just connections, but for every aspect of our lives. The best compliment I can give this film is that it captures the feeling of how the pandemic made everything feel really crazy. This film has created its fair share of debate online about how it wields its politics and how it's too soon for a COVID movie, but I couldn't agree less with those complaints. At least in terms of coming at the story from a specific worldview, I think Aster does an excellent job of depicting our current political climate, its chaos and its contradictions, and the evil it brings out in some people. And it's important to tell stories about our current political climate. If you look back on the history of film, some of the most important political films came out only a few years after the events they're depicting. This is nothing new. If anything, I think Aster's film really solidifies that we need movies like this. We need to acknowledge what's going on right now and how insane it all is. With each passing news cycle, this film is further vindicated and proves how good Aster is at articulating what's wrong with our country right now. This film takes a lot of bold and shocking pivots that I wasn't expecting at all, but I think it really pays off. Probably my favorite film Aster has made. I feel like the reception to Yorgos' last two movies have been mixed, but I've personally been loving his recent work, and I thought Begonia was a blast. I love how weird and funny and gross this movie is, such great compositions and use of color. I always get worried with movie premises like this that read one note on paper, but I thought it was paced really well and found smart and fun ways to always keep me guessing. 3 fantastic performances. Emma Stone was obviously great, shaved head and all, but Jesse Plemons gave one of my favorite performances of the year. Another fully committed freak, and I really don't think the film works without Aidan Delbus, whose kindness really helps anchor this film, and I thought they nailed the ending, which is essential to a film like this. It was really funny but surprisingly moving too. I feel like this is a film that will only get more love as the years go on. After his surprise hit Barbarian, Zach Cregger doubles down on his sharp sense of humor, his knack for absurd violence, and his obsession with basements and creepy suburban neighborhoods with weapons. One of my favorite theater experiences of the year. You can feel how much more confident Cregger is behind the camera, moving us through this story with so much energy and precision. It's freaky, it's thoughtful, and it's really fun. I do think it's perhaps a bit too polished. I would have enjoyed a little more ambiguity and shagginess, but I don't think that takes away too much from the film. So many great performances, and there's a few shots in here where you can see that Cregger absolutely has the juice. And it has my favorite ending of the year, this violent, hilarious, and deeply haunting conclusion. I can't wait to see what he does in the future. Ryan Coogler's sexy, ambitious, and bloody vampire film was in many ways the event of the year. Coogler is a master entertainer, with an incredible eye for the technical craft. His movies tend to explore ancestral and/or familial roots, and Sinners doubles down on those themes as a celebration of Black culture, while also being a story about how other people, or creatures, will try to take that for themselves, in this case, literally. He has such a bold and inventive vision that is beautifully rendered here, with a cast that is fully committed. It's a rare modern studio film that is deeply intelligent and contemplative, grappling with our history through the lens of genre filmmaking that does not shy away from being horny and incredibly violent. This film takes so many swings that feel like they shouldn't work on paper, but absolutely do. One of the best films of the year. Jafar Panahi has been a real blind spot for me. He's a filmmaker who I had read a lot about, but I hadn't actually seen any of his movies until now. I went in expecting a tense and well-constructed thriller, but what I didn't expect was how funny and straight-up entertaining it would be too. This film has a really incredible balance of tones, dealing with a pretty delicate subject matter, and Panahi effortlessly finds so much humanity and humor in it all. The film poses some really complicated questions, and while it doesn't provide all the answers, it gives you a lot to think about while keeping you on the edge of your seat. I was thoroughly impressed, with an ending I'm still wrestling with. A really wonderful film worth checking out. PTA is my favorite director. If you follow my channel at all, you know how much of a fan of his I am. I even made a video a few years back ranking all of his films, and while One Battle After Another is not my favorite PTA, which is a high bar admittedly, I think this is a really special film. Right from the jump, there is a texture, a confidence, an energy that you're in the hands of a master, guiding you through this hilarious, tragic, and heartfelt story. I loved seeing PTA be able to mix his off-kilter humor with high-octane action in a tense and deeply felt political thriller that is firing on all cylinders from beginning to end. PTA is operating on a level simply few filmmakers are capable of. His films are so kinetic and alive, and the way he allows his characters to explore the frame is a joy to watch unfold. Every performance in this film is fantastic. Leo, Penn, Benicio, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor, and even Chase Infinity holds her own. There is a wonderful sense of community and togetherness that shines through this persistently dark world, and I think performances like Benicio and Regina are key to making that work. Leo going dad mode absolutely rules. Every time he says homie, I wanted to jump out of my seat. I do wish the French 75s were fleshed out a little bit more as a political group, but I also understand the film isn't as interested in that, and it's still great regardless. We're incredibly lucky to have a filmmaker like PTA working today. And here are some honorable mentions from this year. Wake Up Dead Man, The Voice of Hind Rajab, Materialists, Splitsville, Cloud, Friendship, Sorry Baby, Blue Moon, and Nouvelle Vague. My favorite film of 2025 is Josh Safdie's brilliant and propulsive Marty Supreme. Josh Safdie just makes movies that speak to me. Good Time was my first foray into the Safdie brothers' work, which I adored, and Uncut Gems is one of my favorite movies of the 2010s, and now Josh is back alongside Ronald Bronstein with another masterpiece. Thrilling from the first frame, accompanied by that unbelievable synth-heavy score, fusing the 80s with the 50s, giving us the sense that Marty is a man from the future, not made for the time he was born in. Marty is a hustler. He lives moment to moment. We see it from the first scene of the film when he's changing out shoe sizes to sell a more expensive pair to a customer. He's hustling everyone in his life just like his family has been doing to him, but unlike everyone else, he has a calling. Marty Supreme is such a great exploration into early capitalism and the pursuit of your dream at the cost of everything else in your life, and for many people, how the outcome isn't what it seems. Moving at a breakneck speed, this unrelenting and gorgeous film shows you an incredibly talented man who cannot get out of his own way. Not since the Coen brothers have any writers been able to convey the ways in which every single action from a character comes back to hurt them in some way, like Josh and Ronald. This movie has everything. The costumes, the production design by Jack Fisk, the faces, so many incredible faces. This is a movie that is alive, that feels lived in. And it is anchored by what I think is Timothée Chalamet's best performance to date, a chaotic ball of energy, plowing through everyone and everything he loves, unconcerned about anything except the moment he's currently in and the pursuit of something greater. but there is a real heart to this guy. I love the way that he says I love you to almost every single person in this film. As much as he is using people, some of which are also using him, he understands that he's part of a community, and I do believe he respects that. I believe he really does love these people, even if he hurts them too. He's a really complex character who has some awful qualities, but the movie is so well made that I'm pumping my fist for him during all of his incredibly kinetic ping pong matches. And the other performances are also fantastic. Odessa, Gwyneth, Tyler, Mr. Wonderful, Abel Ferrara, this guy from Side Talk. No performance is wasted. He's one of my favorite working filmmakers, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Here's to dreaming big. It's Pipe Rock Theory. Pipe Rock Theory is the best movie of 2025. And that's 2025, a really great year for films. And since I started them last year, I wanted to give out some special awards to certain movies this year. So without further ado, the Scrizzy Awards for 2025. Best Theatrical Experience, Kill Bill The Whole Bloody Affair, 70mm. Best Film Not from 2025 that I saw for the first time in 2025, Shall We Dance. Funniest Scene, the tripping scene from Friendship. Best Needle Drop, a tie between Weapons and One Battle After Another. Best Movie I Have a Credit in, Happy Gilmore 2. Best Movie I Worked on but Don't Have a Credit in, Caught Stealing. Best Food in a Movie, The Hot Dogs and Weapons. Biggest Guy, Samson in 28 Years Later. Most Grenades, Ballerina. Second most grenades, The Phoenician Scheme. Third most grenades, The Running Man. Best Baseball Game, Ephus. I watched a lot more TV this year than I did last year. The shows I enjoyed this year were Severance Season 2, The Pit, The Bear Season 4, The Studio, Smiling Friends Season 3, The Chair Company, and Pluribus. But my favorite show was definitely Season 2 of The Rehearsal. Just the most insane thing I've seen in a while. Nathan Fielder is one of our great comedy innovators right now, always finding ways to elevate the genre. Loved it a lot. A cool year for music too. We got a lot of really interesting albums. I thought this was a great year for independent music. My favorites were Pink Panthers, Fancy That. Mama, Welcome to My Blue Sky. Greer, Big Smile. Winter, Adult Romantics. Paris Match, Le 13E. Mike, Showbiz. Star 99, Gammon. Terra Plana, Natural. Sharp Pins, Radio DDR. And my favorite album this year was Panchico's Ginkgo. Their new glitchy atmospheric rock album has some of my favorite hooks and production of the year. Since Panchico have gotten back together, they've been delivering some insanely catchy and fun experimental indie rock tracks, and this newest album might be their best yet. I even got to see them perform a few months ago and they sounded amazing. Standout tracks to me were Honeycomb, Shelton Cooked, and Chapel of Salt. My favorite album of the year. And here are some of my favorite songs of 2025. If you'd like to listen, I have a link down below. One Piece is still chugging along. We got some pretty crazy chapters this year. And for video games, we finally got Silksong, which I've been waiting forever for, and thankfully it lived up to the hype. Gorgeous game with some really fun and punishing combat. Mario Kart 9 has also been a blast. I like playing as Dolphin. And that was 2025. Thanks for watching, guys. I'd love it if you can like and subscribe. It would help a lot. I'll see you guys soon.